Chapter 444 to 445. By the evening, the celebration ended smoothly, and the flow of people on the street gradually became thinner. During the entire alliance ceremony, except for the episode of Kimimaro and Sasuke's shinobi spar, there was no other accident, to which Kuroto was a bit surprised that the alliance ceremony went smoothly. Kuroto was quite that from the wicked smile Orochimaru had given him while entering Konoha. He had something planned that might have caused some sort of chaos. It must be known that when the alliance contract was being signed, Orochimaru was at the center of the village, and surrounded by high-ranking authorities of all the villages. Not to mention the crowd that had gathered only a little distance away. So, if Orochimaru had made any trouble at that time, it could have caused chaos within the village. Just the use of exploding tags alone might have caused heavy casualties, reaching up to 4 digits, but since he didn't do anything, so Kuroto was relieved. After finishing everything, and assigning Umbu to keep watch over the representatives of the 4 villages, Kuroto returned home for a short while. It wasn't very long since he returned home that a knock sounded. Knock knock. Kuroto quirked his eyebrows as to who could be visiting him. After opening the door, Kuroto found that it was none other than Niji standing at the door with a box. "Oh, it's Niji. What brings you here?" Looking at Kuroto, Niji held up the box and said, "Good evening, sensei. Fumeo-san asked me to deliver this bento box, since Yui-san is extremely busy and won't be relieved until midnight." Although Niji has yet to be taught by Kuroto, formally at least, Niji still prefers to refer to Kuroto with the term sensei, because of Kuroto's promise to accept Niji as a disciple in the future. "Oh, Okasama send it?" Kuroto asked, to which Niji nodded. Then Kuroto said, "All right, come on in." Translator's note. Hyuga Fume is Hyuga Yui's mother. After receiving the lunch, Kuroto led Niji inside his house. When Kuroto opened the bento box, a rich fragrance was diffused out of the box and tickled Kuroto's nostrils. Kuroto couldn't help it anymore and immediately used the chopsticks on the side to have a taste. On the other hand, Niji sat opposite Kuroto, and his immature face was full of seriousness. Kuroto could see that something was bugging Niji and he wanted to talk about it, but didn't know how to bring it up. So, while eating slowly, Kuroto took the initiative to start a conversation with Niji. "What's wrong, Niji? Did you not have fun today?" Niji did not expect that Kuroto would suddenly ask such a question, so he was stunned. Then immediately recovered and said, "I had a great time. It was my first time seeing so many people from so many different villages." Kuroto smiled and said, "That's good then. Don't always stay cooped up at home. Training is extremely important, but keep in touch with others too. That would help you grow as a person." Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke are the reincarnations of Asura and Indra, as well as the children of prophecy. If Niji comes in contact with the two of them early, and develops a friendship with them, then the benefits are endless. At the very least, Niji will have someone as a rival, and that will be very good stimulation for Niji's growth and strength. Niji nodded at Kuroto's words, then asked, "Sensei, are you aware of the duel at the square today?" Kuroto glanced at Niji, then said, "So the reason why you feel troubled has to do with this?" Niji nodded, "Sensei, the duel at the square today gave me a lot of insight and also made me realize how strong a shinobi can be. Whether it was the white-haired boy of Otogekure or Uchiha Sasuke of the Uchiha clan, both of them showed talent and strength far beyond my imagination." Kuroto said, "To be honest, Niji, if it's about talent, then your talent is no worse than the two of them. As for the matter of strength, given the fact that you have been trained rigorously by Hizashi-sama for the past 4 years, so your strength should be quite higher than the current Uchiha Sasuke. As for the kid of Kagaya clan, his situation is quite different." Niji asked eagerly, "Is it different in what sense, sensei?" Kuroto thought a little as to how to make Niji understand while not revealing any detail about Orochimaru. "It's because of growth environment, Niji. The growth environment is quite a vague concept and generally doesn't determine everything, but it has quite a bit of influence on the strength of a shinobi. The environment that Kimimaro grew up in is much more dangerous than you have faced up to now. Not to mention he is also being personally taught by one of the best shinobi in the world, so that's a factor. Another important point is that he is also older than you and has had more time training and experience. But there is nothing to worry about. By the time you are an adult, your strength may as well be superior to Kimimaro if you keep working hard diligently. Kimimaro is a relatively simple-minded person. All he wants is to be useful to Orochimaru, and this desire of his extremely strong, and precisely because of this single-minded purpose of his, Kimimaro has no other distractions. As such, he is not an ordinary child. He does have any materialistic desire, nor does he have any greed in his heart. Not to mention, Kuroto doesn't think that Orochimaru would have ever considered Orochimaru to be a child. As such, the training Kimimaro has gone through might just be the most hellish and grueling training someone can go through, coupled with Kimimaro's own talent. After all, Kimimaro's talent is also one of the best in the shinobi world. Among the peers his age, Kimimaro can be regarded as the second strongest, with the strongest being Otsutsuki Tonari on the moon. Kuroto continued. Then if we talk about Uchiha Sasuke, well, currently he may not be shining the brightest of all, But in the near future, he too will become one of the strongest shinobi Konoha has ever seen. He has already awakened the Sharingan, and it would only take a few years for that Sharingan to develop into the fully matured Sharingan. At that point, if you want to be able to overpower him, then you must have complete mastery over the Hyuga Gentle Fist art. Niji was a thoughtful look upon hearing Kuroto's words, and he whispered lightly, "I understand, sensei." Kuroto said with a bit of a smile, "Talent can only take one so far. After that it all comes down to hard work and luck, and I am telling you, Niji, your luck is not too bad. So, don't get discouraged and keep working hard." Niji nodded. "I will, sensei. I just don't want Oda-sama and Hayashi-sama to feel that the Hyuga clan has lost." Kuroto sighed silently. He could imagine the feeling of Hayashi and Hizashi after observing Kimimaro and Sasuke's duel today. The current Hinata seems to be timid, and not fit to be a kunoichi, not fit to be the next patriarch. Far weaker and far less talented when compared to Kimimaro, and even Sasuke. So, they feel that the Hyuga clan has lost even before the fight began. In a way, they are not wrong, but they are not completely right either. In Kuroto's opinion, Hinata might as well be one of the most courageous girls out there. It's just that her courage hasn't been manifested yet. Seeing Kuroto sigh, Niji asked with a bit of hesitation, "Sensei, I have heard many people say this, but I want to know what you think about the matter. Is the Hyuga clan really inferior to the Uchiha clan? Is Byakugan not as good as the Sharingan?" Kuroto chuckled at Niji's question. Rather than even bothering to give out his opinion on the matter, Kuroto just said, "This is not an issue you need to be worried about now." Niji's cheek inflated in a pout. "Then, when can I be worried about this issue?" "After defeating me," said Kuroto with a smirk. "When you defeat me and become the strongest within the Hyuga clan, at that time you are free to worry to your heart's content whether Hyuga clan is superior or Uchiha clan is superior, whether Byakugan is better or the Sharingan is better. At this point in time, you haven't even reached the peak of the Hyuga clan. On what basis are you going to judge which clan is superior?" Niji keenly perceived something from Kuroto's words and asked with a shocked tone, "Kuroto-sensei, does that mean currently you are the strongest in the Hyuga clan?" From what his father has told him, Niji knows that his sensei is undoubtedly one of the strongest in the Hyuga clan, but subconsciously, Niji, similar to all other Hyuga clansmen, believes that the patriarch, Hyuga Hayashi, is the strongest within the clan, which is why he was really shocked by Kuroto's words. Kuroto, of course, did not deny Niji's question and nodded casually while continuing to eat. Kuroto doesn't claim to be the strongest in the entire shinobi world, because who knows what sort of existences are hidden out there. At least there is Nagato, whose strength is almost equivalent to Kuroto. But when it comes to Konoha, and more specifically the Hyuga clan, without a doubt, Kuroto is the strongest. Niji hurriedly sat up straight and asked with an expectant look, "Sensei, can I start formal training with you now?" Kuroto shook his head. "Don't get impatient, Niji. At this point, when you are learning the Hyuga Gentle Fist art, I may not be able to teach you as proficiently as Hizashi-sama given the nature of my work and duties. But you don't have to worry. By the time you graduate from the academy and formally become a genin, at that time I will train you personally." "Oh!" Niji dropped his head, somewhat dejected. Kuroto said from the side, "Besides, not just anyone can become my disciple. If you don't graduate at the top of your year, then even if you graduate, I will not accept you as a true disciple." Listening to the heavy requirement for being accepted as a disciple, Niji was not panicked or shocked, but nodded. "Please rest assured, sensei. I will not let you down." Kuroto smiled. He, of course, knows that with Niji's talent and hard work, he will graduate at the top of his school year. But giving the kid a temporary goal that he can work for is a good approach, as it will keep Niji focused and not waste his time on tasteless rumors all the time. Whoosh! Before either of them could say anything more, someone suddenly appeared at his house and rushed inside without even bothering to knock on the door. Kuroto frowned. More so when he noticed who the person was. Why would Guy be so panicked? Guy looked at Kuroto, but given the emergency of the situation, he didn't notice the other kid, and hurriedly said, "Kuroto, something happened. Kakashi was attacked." Kuroto quirked his eyebrow, then looked at Niji. Niji didn't need to be reminded by Kuroto, as even before Kuroto had looked up, he had already stood up and was about to say, "Sensei, I will take my leave, good night," then bowed and left Kuroto's house. Niji has been informed by his father that his sensei's work and duties are extremely important and secretive to the village. Even the patriarch of the Hyuga clan is not aware of the exact particulars, which is why Niji knew that he should not be present at this time and left. After Niji was gone, Kuroto prompted Guy to sit down and patiently explain what exactly happened. "Take a deep breath and explain slowly. What exactly happened, and who attacked Kakashi?" Guy sat down in front of Kuroto with a gloomy face and said, "About an hour ago, Umbu found Kakashi bloodied and unconscious in one of the training fields." Kuroto asked quickly, "Is he okay now?" Guy shook his head. "Kakashi was almost dead because of the blood loss and chakra loss. I am not aware of the exact particulars about what happened, but his life was in grave danger and required Tsunade-sama to direct all her effort into his treatment. Else he would have died." What's more worrisome is that the Sharingan in his left eye has been stolen by the attacker. After Kakashi had joined the special tactical team, his whereabouts became more secret than even the whereabouts of the Hokage. Everything about him became a secret, where he goes, what he does, what he learning, etc. are all secret that not even Kuroto was aware of until he personally investigated Kakashi for many days. The training field where Kakashi was learning, training, and perfecting flying Raijin Jutsu was a secret training field that very few were aware of. Because of this, it wasn't until a few hours ago when Sandaime personally visited the training field to check up on Kakashi's progress that he found Kakashi bloodied, with only one eye, and only a step away from death. Immediately, Kakashi was secretly transferred to the Konoha hospital by Sandaime's orders, where Senju Tsunade and her 3 disciples personally took care of Kakashi's treatment, somehow managing to save Kakashi from the brink of death. Guy briefly talked about what he knew about Kakashi's situation. After listening to Guy, Kuroto supported his chin with his left hand and had an extremely solemn expression. The enemy attacked Kakashi inside the village, pressed Kakashi enough that he was unable to even fire the signal flare, at the same time defeated Kakashi, but did not immediately kill Kakashi. Just left him bloody to die and only stole the Sharingan in Kakashi's left eye. No matter how Kuroto thinks about it, there is only one person who is capable of doing this in the Akatsuki, that is the original owner of that left Sharingan in Kakashi's eye, Uchiha Obito. How is it possible? Why did Obito take the left Sharingan back? Upon realizing the implication of this information, Kuroto was seriously taken aback, and completely caught off guard. Even in the canon, until the very end of the Fourth Great Shinobi War, Obito did not take back that eye from Kakashi. If not for the fact that Madara took it from Kakashi to enter the Kamui dimension, then that eye would have been with Kakashi all his life. Obito went after Shirsue's eye that was with Danzo, but not after his own left eye that Kakashi had. Kuroto knows that had Obito wanted, he could have easily taken that eye, but Obito never even attempted to do so, which is why Kuroto was completely defenseless in this regard. Guy continued. As soon as Kakashi regained consciousness, he asked to see me, you, and Shirsue. He said that he has a few questions from us. Kuroto no longer wasted any time in thinking, and nodded. All right, let's go to Shirsue's home. Guy nodded. Then Kuroto no longer cared about the leftover food in front of him. Left it half finished and went to the Uchiha clan along with Guy. Shirsue's home. Shirsue and Itachi were exchanging their personal experience in the use of Manjikyu Sharingan, as well as developing theories as to how to improve their various abilities to be able to counter Akatsuki. Suddenly, Sasuke, who had been playing with Naruto for the whole afternoon, rushed in and asked the two of them, Ni-san, Shirsue-san, when you both fight with me, do you both intentionally release water and let me compete with you on an equal footing? Naruto's unintentional words during the day even made Sasuke realize that something is wrong, and he was worried about it until now. Itachi noticed the redness and swelling on Sasuke's cheeks, and asked curiously, What's wrong with your face, Sasuke? Sasuke pursed his lips. Today I fought a duel against a kid, and lost to him. Shirsue also became curious. Who did you lose to? Normally, when Sasuke plays with Itachi and Shirsue, both of them naturally let out a whole lot of water. Otherwise, given the strength of these two, it would be impossible for Sasuke to even be able to see them, much less touch them or fight them. But even so, both of them are very clear about Sasuke's strength. Among the peers his age, Sasuke is undoubtedly one of the best, which is why both of them were surprised that Sasuke lost against a kid. Sasuke said with a bitter expression, It was a kid named Kimimaro from Otogekure. When fighting him, I even awakened the Sharingan, but I still couldn't defeat him. I brought shame to the Uchiha clan. Rather than focusing on the fact that Sasuke was defeated by a kid called Kimimaro, both Itachi and Shirsue's attention was directed towards another fact. Sasuke, did you just say that you awakened the Sharingan? Both Shirsue and Itachi were taken aback. Sasuke immediately activated his Sharingan and said, I awakened the Sharingan in the middle of the duel, but I still couldn't defeat him. This is completely different from our usual practice. Does that mean he is even faster than you two? Shirsue stared at the single tomo in Sasuke's eyes and said with some emotion, Sure enough, it's the Sharingan. If I am not wrong, Sasuke is only 7 years old, right? Itachi nodded, and his eyes were also looking at Sasuke's one tomo Sharingan. Sasuke said with a frustrated tone, Ni-san, Shirsue-san, did you hear what I just said? Before either Shirsue or Itachi could answer Sasuke, Kuroto and Guy appeared at Shirsue's house, and Kuroto briefly told the two about what actually happened. Of course, Sasuke couldn't understand because the information was very concise. Hearing that Kakashi was attacked and even the Sharingan was stolen, even Shirsue was taken aback, because he is one of the very few people actually aware of the fact that the Sharingan in Kakashi's left is not a fully matured Sharingan, but a Manjikyu Sharingan. The secret of Kakashi's Manjikyu Sharingan was only known to the 4 members of Team 11, and, of course, Itachi. Other than these 5, not even Sandaime was aware of Kakashi's Manjikyu Sharingan, because Manjikyu Sharingan is too sensitive. Once the other members of the Uchiha clan know of this information, it would be impossible to remain indifferent to the Sharingan in Kakashi's eye. Realizing the seriousness of the matter, Shursui did not dare to delay any longer and said, "Let's go. Let's go and see Kakashi-san." Itachi also asked Kuroto, "Kuroto-san, can I come too?" Kuroto groaned for a while then nodded. "All right, come with us." Soon, the four of them left the Uchiha clan in a rush. Looking at the few people who left in a hurry, and didn't even bother to pay attention to him, Sasuke muttered in annoyance, "Humph, I have obviously grown up, even awakened the Sharingan and mastered the fireball jutsu, and yet Nissan still treats me like a child." It didn't take long for the four to arrive at Konoha Hospital. When approaching Kakashi's ward, the four of them encountered the three disciples of Tsunade and hurriedly asked about Kakashi's condition from them. They learned that Kakashi's situation was critical, but he is alive, although it will take at least 2 weeks for Kakashi to fully recover. After a nod, 4 of them proceeded to Kakashi's ward, and several people happened to meet Sandame and Senju Tsunade at the door, who had just walked out of Kakashi's ward. So, they stood by the door and greeted Sandame and Tsunade. Sandame glanced at the 4 people. His gaze stayed at Itachi for a moment, then nodded, "Go in." Sandame knows that except for Uchiha Itachi, the other 3 are the former members of the Umbu team Kakashi was the captain of, and given the fact that Kakashi had wanted to see them the first as soon as he regained consciousness, it was reasonable for them to visit Kakashi. As for Itachi, Sandame thought a little, then allowed Itachi to go in as well. Sandame knows that he would have to talk with Fugaku on this matter anyway, so the fact that Itachi is here only made things a bit easier for him. Having said that, Sandame and Tsunade walked away with great concern. After several people entered the ward, they finally saw Kakashi lying on the hospital bed, and a depressed look was clearly visible on his face. "Everyone is here," said Kakashi weakly upon noticing the arrival of 3. "No 4? Kuroto did not wait for Kakashi to speak anything and hurriedly asked, "Who was the attacker, Kakashi?" Kakashi glanced at Itachi at the end. Noting Kakashi's doubts, Kuroto said, "Don't worry about Itachi. He is in my team, and can be trusted." After a short pause, Kuroto asked again, "Who was the attacker, Kakashi?" Kakashi lowered his eyes, and instead of answering Kuroto's question, he asked Shursui lightly, "Shursui, can 2 pairs of Manjikyu Sharingan have the same dojutsu?" As soon as Kuroto heard Kakashi's question, his guess on the identity of the attacker was already confirmed. Shursui and the others on the other hand were a little confused, and asked, "Why ask such a question?" "It is because the one who attacked me is the member of the Akatsuki organization, the masked man named Tobi, who uses a space-time jutsu as well as with style. We were wrong about the assumption of his jutsu. Instead of using 2 distinct jutsu to phase through matter and teleportation, he uses a single jutsu, a single Manjikyu Sharingan dojutsu to be exact, and the name of dojutsu he uses is Kamui," said Kakashi in a weak tone. His expression was gloomy at the same time filled with uncertainty. "Kamui?" Shursui and Itachi both looked at each other. Neither of them has ever heard of the dojutsu named Kamui. Even in the history of the Uchiha clan that records almost all the known dojutsu up until now, there is no record of a dojutsu named Kamui, so they can't be sure if the 2 pairs of Manjikyu Sharingan can have the same dojutsu. Shursui said with a sigh. "So, in the Akatsuki organization, besides Shinichi, there is indeed another Uchiha who has the Manjikyu Sharingan." Kuroto has mentioned to Shursui and Itachi that the spiraled masked man named Tobi is most definitely an Uchiha, and he is undoubtedly the one responsible for the death of Yandame Hokage, and also releasing Kyuubi on Konoha about 6.5 years ago. He is also the one responsible for the death of Uchiha Kurumi, and the defection of Shinichi to Akatsuki. At this time, Guy asked with a curious tone, "Kakashi, how can you be so sure? Does he, like me, also shouts the name of the moves he uses?"